In this video, we are going to build your very first Spring Boot REST API from scratch in just 15 minutes. We will walk step by step through installing Java, setting up Spring Boot project, writing your first controller, and testing it live in the browser. But here is the thing. Most tutorials just jump directly into the code and forget what it is like to be a beginner or start completely new. I remember opening the Spring Boot Initializr for the first time and thinking, what is dependency? Do I need all these files? What does these files do? Will I mess something up? It was really confusing. And it almost made me quit even before me starting. But then I built a small project, working project, and that changed everything. So if you're feeling unsure, then this tutorial is for you. You'll see exactly what to do, how to go from nothing to real working API, clean code and clear stuff. I'm Alan Lance and I make tutorials that help you build real projects. Let's get into it. First, we need Java. For that, open your browser and search for Java JDK download. Go to Oracle website and download the JDK from there. So we will be using Java 17. You can download the latest version, that's not an issue. So once that's done, let's check if it worked. Open your terminal or command prompt and type java-version. You should see the installed version. So if you see that, nice, we are good to go. Next up, the IDE. That's short for Integrated Development Environment. You can use either IntelliJ, Eclipse, or even Visual Studio Code. For this tutorial, I'm going with Visual Studio Code. Download it from the official page and start using it. That's simple as that. Now comes to the fun part, creating your first Spring Boot project. We are going to use something called as Spring Initializr. So for that, you need to go to start.spring.io. This is a tool help us to generate the base project. Here, what's what you want to set is project as Maven, language as Java, Spring Boot version, latest stable version. I'm gonna give it as 3. For the project details in the group, I'm gonna go with com.code with artifacts as first tab. You can see all the details generate automatically. Packaging as jar. I just put Java version as 17. Under the dependencies, let's add as one dependency. So that is Spring Web. It gives you everything you needed for web apps. Once that's set, click on generate. You'll get a zip file with your fresh Spring Boot project. Last step, unzip the file, open the Visual Studio Code, and open that particular folder in the VS Code. VS Code will recognize it as a Maven project and start importing dependency. Let it finish. Once the project is fully loaded, you're officially set up and ready to build your first Spring Boot app. Yeah, let's keep going. Next, we will explore the Spring Boot project layout. You'll see a bunch of folders and files. Don't worry, walk you through the important ones. First, the source folder. Inside it, you will see 2 other folders. One is Java and resources. Java is where all the Java code lives. You'll see a package inside it, com.codewith.firsta. This is where we will add our controllers, service, and other Java classes. Next folder, resources. This folder is where we put all the non-code files like application.properties for setting app settings, static files or templates, HTML files, and all other things. So this is all about the source folder. Coming next is the pom.xml file. This is one of the important files. This is your Maven configuration. Think of it like a recipe that tells Maven which all dependency to put in and how to build your project and all. Right now, you will see Spring Boot and Spring Web listed here. We added those earlier in Spring Initializer, if you remember. As you grow your app, you will add more dependency here. Take a quick look at the first app application.java file. This is your main class, the entry point of the whole Spring Boot application. You will see Spring Boot and application annotation here. This is what triggers Spring Boot's auto configuration magic. This is the basic tour. Now you know where the things live and what they do. Okay, let's talk about dependency management. Sounds fancy, but it's really simple. In any project, you will need external tools and libraries. For example, you will need something to handle web request, JSON, database, maybe even security also. So for that, you need to find the libraries online, download the right jar file, put them in the right folder, and manually link them to the project. Yeah, totally a dick. This is where Maven comes in. You just tell Maven what you need, and it goes and download all it for you, including any other libraries those tools depend on. Here how it works. Open your pom.xml file. This is where you tell Maven what you want. Take a look at the dependencies. Here you can see an artifact Spring Boot starter web. If you remember, we added this in the initializer. So basically what this line does is like we are telling the Maven, hey Maven, I need the Spring Boot starter web package. So Maven will go find everything you need and load it in your project automatically. You don't need to manually search and download anything. Awesome, right? Yeah. So, but here is the question. What's actually inside the Spring Boot starter web? Well, that's where Spring Boot really helps us out. So, when you're building a web application, you don't just need one library. You need a whole set of tools working together behind the scenes. And instead of making you add them one by one, Spring Boot gives you this starter package, which is really a bundle of multiple libraries already wired up to work together. So when you add Spring Boot starter web, you are actually pulling in multiple dependency like Spring MVC to handle web request and build REST APIs, Jackson to automatically convert JSON data into Java objects and back, and an embedded Tomcat server so you don't need to install or configure a server manually, and few other libraries as well. So by the time you get the Spring Boot, it will be ready to go. We can add more dependencies as our project grows over here. So you will see. All right. Now that our project is ready, let's talk about something super important. What is a controller and what exactly is a REST request? Imagine you are using your favorite food delivery app like Zomato or Swiggy. You usually scroll through the menu. Let's say you found pizza, your favorite pizza. Let's say you tap order pizza. That tab actually sends a message to the server saying, hey, this user wants a pizza. That message is called a REST request. Just a simple way for your app to talk to server. Now, who handles that? The backend, or more specifically, something called as controller. In Spring Boot, a controller is a class that receive your request, run some logic, and send it back with a response. That response might be just a message, a list of items, or something saying order confirmed. And instead of food, our controller works with URL data and code. Alright, let's build your very first Spring Boot controller. In your project directory, you need to go to your source folder. Inside it, you can see main, then Java, then couple more folders. Now, inside this folder, you can create a new folder called as controllers. This is where we will keep all our controller files. Inside the controller folder, we need to create a new Java file and let's name it as HelloController.java. This file will be your very first Spring Boot controller. When you create the file, you can see a couple of code got auto-generated. At the top, you will be able to see something like package com.code with first app controllers. This line basically means this is a package. It is like telling Java, this file belongs in this folder of the project. You can see the folder com.code with the same as in the Explorer. Can see a class also got auto-generated. For Spring Boot, if you look at this particular Java code, you will be able to see this is simple Java class only. For Spring Boot also, this is just a Java class. But our goal is to make this class a controller and define in a way which is understandable for Spring Boot. To do that, we just need to annotate this class with res control. For that, I'm just adding at the rate res controller. Just like that, this class became a controller. Now, let's add your first method inside this class or your controller. I'm going to call this method as hello, and it will return string type. Let's return also a string as hello world. But wait, how will Spring know when to call this method? It is simple. We will use annotation above it at get mapping. So this annotation simply means when someone visits the root URL of the app, that runs this method. Still confused? Let me explain. Imagine you are typing google.com in your browser. That's the root URL, right? Google.com. We can see search engine pop up. So that is your root. Now try google.com/maps. It will open the Google Maps. So each one of this lines or URLs shows a different path or a route. In a same way, when we write get mapping inside the parenthesis in code slash, we are saying if the user visit the root path, just like google.com, in our case localhost 8080, that is the port number, show them the response from this particular method. Okay. In our case, the method returns hello world. So when you start the application and visit the URL in your browser, you will see hello world. Simple as that. Now let's see this in action. So go to your main application class. You will be able to see a run button over here if you are using VS Code. I'll run this class. If everything goes well, you will see something like started first app application in this many seconds. You can see it over here. Spring Boot just started an embedded web server called Tomcat. If you remember our previous chats, we talked about it. Usually in port 8080, you can see it over here. Let's test it out. Open your browser and type localhost 8080. You should see hello world like this. This means your controller is working. You just made your very first REST API request and Spring Boot sent back with a response. We started with a simple controller that returns a basic message. Now, let's make it a bit more dynamic and interactive. Instead of always returning the same text, what if the user could request something and get a response? Like in a food delivery app, we can order any food and we will get a response also. Let's do that. Here is the scenario. We will ask food through our application and it will respond with your order for food has been received. Let's do it. Let's create a new controller for this and let's call it as OrderController.java. As usual, at first we will annotate with the REST controller. It will define it as a controller class. Next, we define a method. Let's call it as order and annotate with get mapping in the parenthesis order, which means that if whenever someone visits /order, this means this method will be executed. See this URL? This is how we pass the URL in the browser. We will also be passing a parameter, as you can see it over here. This is where we send food name like pizza, burger, and so on. We need to access this value inside the controller, right? For that, we can use a request param. So, as a parameter in our method, we will set as add request para space string, then item. That is the item coming from the URL. Spring Boot will automatically pick up the value passed in the URL like this. Inside the method, we will return a message using the item name. So for that, we will return in quotes your order for. Then we will add our item plus item. Then has been received. Awesome. Let's test this in a browser. Open our browser and localhost 8080, then /order, a question mark. Order is the URL, question mark item, that is the parameter, is equal to, let's say, pizza. You will see your order for pizza has been received. Try changing it to pizza, to burger, coffee, or anything. It will respond accordingly. This is how we start building interactive and dynamic APIs in the Spring Boot. That's it. You build your very first Spring Boot controller. Here we covered creating and annotating in the controller, handling a simple GET request, returns a response to the browser. In the next video, we will go even deeper. We will return real JSON data from our controllers, simulate a mini backend API, even talk about how front-end apps interact with it. So make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment if you learned something today. I'll see you in the next part.